Evening already. Good afternoon. I want to welcome you to Mala's retirement event. We're excited that you're here. We thank you for taking your time to be here. Today's a special day as we wish Mala a fond farewell, but never goodbye for us, because we'll see you month to month. And today I'd like to bring up a special person close to Mala as well, our CEO, Bo Goldie. I'd like to do a welcome, and then we'll come back after. So, Bo Goldie.
You know, it's interesting. There's a few things that just happened just a few moments ago. One of those is I can see our communication staff wearing ties. Never saw those before really too often. The other question was, when I was sitting right here, Mala comes up and she goes, "Well, where am I supposed to sit?" Well, you can sit way in the back, but you've been to probably 100 of these things, so you know you're supposed to sit in front. And what I'd like to actually do is take a chair and put it in front, and have her be put right in front so everybody can see the person that we're honoring today. Yeah, let's get a chair. Let's put Mala right in front. She never wants to be front and center, right? No. Keep the microphone.
Who's been in a meeting with me where I always say, I need to see everyone's face?
And keep the microphone away from her. No, but seriously, it is. I have really the honor and the privilege of welcoming everybody to this afternoon's event. Not just because I'm the CEO, but because I have known Mala for 19 years. I'm very happy to see so many people here, and I know that there's many more that would have liked to have been here, but are probably stuck in the field trying to get into this event. You know, my role today is really to welcome you and reminisce about Mala's past 19 years, and really to applaud all of her accomplishments. She leaves a mark on this agency that will be long-lasting. This morning we had a presentation made by Mala on, I have it right here with me, this customer relations strategy and support. And it is something that she has put together and helped lead this organization to a position where we have such a very good relationship with the community, really because of this program that she has put together. It has taken us from a place a number of years ago where we were struggling with the community to a point today where the community really has a lot of respect for us, and it really is the leadership that Mala has brought to this organization and this community relations program. And I'm very, very happy and pleased that we have had her do that for us. It was a number of years ago that was pretty random, and we were reacting to everything as opposed to really having strategies in place to appropriately address the community and get them informed or engaged, depending upon what we needed them to do. See, I did listen this morning. Mala actually began her career back in 1994. It was November of '94 when she was hired as a public information representative in what was then called the Public Information Office. That was a number of years ago. I remember all of that. As a public information rep too, she's involved in promoting the district's programs and issues through various formats such as campaigns, media relations, and community events. But it was in her role that she participated in one of her favorite projects, and that was the NOAA Knows campaign, that approach that did the flood protection work that we do. And it really got the community really to understand that work. And that was a great campaign. It was on the sides of buses. It was radio, TV, Safeway grocery bags, and full-page print ads that were actually in there. And it was an award-winning program. It really was. It was an outstanding program. And that really got the community to understand more what the service that we provide of flood protection, and it was great. She just loves sitting up there in front, doesn't she? And she's checking me. Yes, Bo, that's right. Yes, Bo, that's right. She's confirming for me. So the other program that she brought was one that I was a big fan of, and we need to bring back, although I don't think we can find it. And that was the Art of Winning. And many of you had the Art of Winning. In fact, because of that program, when I was in, I don't know where I was. I was in either Watersheds or Capital. I was in Watersheds, and I just started in Watersheds. We actually had a special session of a number of Capital staff to actually go through this Art of Winning program that we had gotten a number of months, or like a year before. It was a great program because it allowed us to really understand how to communicate, not from engineering or from the technical perspective. It was from what the public sees, us communicating with them, answering their questions, and it was a very good program. In fact, I still have we actually made a cheat sheet out of it, and I still have that and use that today. It's a great program. We need to find where that is and bring that back.
Maybe you need the consultants to come back.
Have to wait 6 months. Okay. The forms. Or the 809 or whatever the new form is, the other one, right? This says here, one of my funniest productive interactions with Mala. It really wasn't my funniest, but it was a very productive interaction. And we are seeing today the work of Mala and her mind, and that is, you know that program we have, those inserts, the flyers that have the inserts? It was on the Permanente Creek program. We had a project that had multiple aspects to it. We had a lot of information that we had to get to the community in a way that they could understand. It was a project that was stretched over an entire watershed, so there are all these elements. And you know the public, most of them are interested in what's happening in their neighborhood and right around them, not everybody else. So we actually changed the program and how we did this outreach and this insert, and it has served us very well today. But what was interesting, maybe the funny part about it, is when we were, I don't know where we're in front of my office, just being excited about putting this together, and we're kind of thinking, we're talking about, we're finishing each other's sentence as we're putting this thing together, and it was a real interesting interaction that actually produced something that I think is very, very useful still today, and will reside with this district for quite a while.
Your gesture, where we were just like, and then we need something that goes like this, and then you go like this, and you're like, yeah, we do that. And
Right.
that's how we do it.
Right. I can have a conversation with you, we'll forget everybody else, when you and I just talk. But after that was completed, actually, before that was completed, it was in 2000, actually soon after her participation in the Clean Safe Creeks project team, and right before the successful passing of the measure, our Clean Safe Creeks program, when Mala became a senior management analyst at that time. Then she turned her focus to managing support of the Office of Public Affairs, where she worked as a liaison to the PIO office, Public Information Office, on watershed interest and the technical and policy development capacity work. I'm not going to follow this. I'm just going to talk because so. But in any event, she advanced to the program to the senior project manager, and then it was actually in 2003 where she advanced she was promoted to the program administrator, and currently serving in her capacity as supervising program administrator over our communications area in the customer relations. She has 5 public information representatives working with her very closely. You can see the ones in the ties or in those dresses. I am one of them probably. I feel like it many, many times, but let's go on. Her focus has really been developing the customer relations program and the programs for watershed operations and water utility and the various projects they have. In fact, it was her work and the innovative World Cafe that we had here, which was a completely new innovative approach that helped us to address some of the concerns the community has out there on the Almaden Lake, which could have been a significant challenge for us. But the approach and the innovative thinking that she brought to this and the leadership really helped that whole program get together, and we're doing an outstanding job in terms of making that connection with the community, especially when we have new board members coming on board that were concerned about this. I will tell you one thing, not only Mala, but the entire communications team has really revamped our whole outreach program to the point where that community out there really understands what we are doing. They have a good connection. That is part of the reason why our Safe Clean Water measure passed by 74%, which was outstanding. There's many other accomplishments that Mala has provided to this district and to the public. There's many other stories that I probably tell you about in our office and how we sometimes saw eye to eye and sometimes we didn't, but it always ended up, I think, coming out with a great product. But what I'm going to do is let the program continue, since I am just here to welcome you and to get Mala to sit in front. What I really want to do is thank Mala from my heart, really, for your leadership and your friendship through all these years. It has been great, and I will definitely miss you. So I will see you around as we pass in our South County stomping grounds. And we'll be down there for the Yogg's Creek project. I suspect you'll be coming and commenting on that one. So Steve, to get ready. I will leave it at that. So with that, thanks, welcome. We have an event here. I think we're going to have, who do I turn it over to now? All right, turn it over to you. But again, thank you. Oh, one last comment. You know, one of the things I do, I bring this home, so I showed this, I brought this home, it was sitting on the table. And I go, Susie goes, what's that? And I go, well, this is Mala, she's retiring. You know what she said? She looked at that picture and she goes, she's way too young to retire.
That is the right answer.
She's way too young. And I agree with her. Thank you.
Thank you, Bo, and no one is more happy about the World Cafe and getting the Almaden folks in check than I am, because I'm working with them all the time, so thank you. Next up, we'd like to introduce Jim Fiedler, who also has some words for you.
I was going to stand over there until Mala sat over there. So anyway, I've had the great pleasure of working with Mala, probably more at a manager to staff person than anybody in the room. And it's been a great relationship, I think, over the years, and I'm going to describe a little bit of that history for you this afternoon. And then as Bo described, Mala gave a really nice presentation that sort of encapsulated her thoughts about communication and what we do in the district. And she referred to an IAP2 public participation spectrum that she had with her this morning. And that's something that we've used as a vehicle to really help us think about strategizing about communication. So I want to use that to describe Mala's career at the district. So, first off, Mala's in the 5-step process, which is inform, consult, involve, collaborate, and empower. First is inform, and as Bo already alluded to, when she started in '94, you got to think back in '94, we were just coming out of a drought. You know, I think it went from 87 to 92, and then we started getting some rain. And we had some pretty severe rain in '95. And so that gave rise to a program that I was not working with Mala on at the time, because at that time, I was not in the Watershed Flood Protection Program. Kay Whitlock was here, and so the program of Hey Noah, which was a brilliant program, to get people really conscious of the threat of flooding and to be prepared for that. So it was really a great program, and again, it's part of that information. And again, we were very primitive in those days. Informing was probably the limit of what we did, and so in my mind, that was really the initial stages of when Mala came here back in '94. We were informing the public. Most of the time, we would inform people. We would then explain, inform, and then we had to defend ourselves because we never got their input, right? That's sort of the logic of how we did things. But we were starting to learn back in those early days. We really had to collaborate. And so anyway, Mala's work there was really helpful. Also, we had a program too, we still do it today, the board was given a flyer recently, where we sent notices to those who live in the floodplain, to alert them of the fact that they live in the floodplain. And so that was a mailer that Mala's mailer, really helped getting the word out. And it was very important because, you know, so often people move in and out of a community and they don't know anything about some of the real history of what's going on in their community there. And so it's good to remind them that they may not pay flood insurance, but they live in a flood-prone area and they ought to think about it. And so it's another way of informing the community that we really started, and really started to get our mind around that. And then it goes on to the consult phase, which we will keep you informed, listen, and acknowledge, and so forth. Well, that's about the time I got involved with Mala. And that was the consult phase. Because we had this program called, in acronyms, CFMP, the Comprehensive Flood Management Program. And it was about 1998. And it was one of the rare moments where you see Nai Shui very unhappy. But it was at a meeting that Mala and I were at. It was at the Camden building. And we were going through some leadership changes here at the district. And so I came aboard on CFMP, and we changed it to Clean Safe Creek for natural flood protection shortly thereafter. And so Mala and I worked very closely with a lot of other great people at the district that really helped us think through how we're going to reach out to the community to sell the program, knowing we have to get a supermajority. And Mala was really there on the ground floor, really working. We had developed up to '98 sort of the foundations for the program. Now we had to refine it and really craft it in a way that we could then really sell it. So having focus groups and getting the word out and reaching out to the community to really understand what they're thinking about, and then altering the program based on that input. So it was no longer just informing the community, we were actually consulting, we were now building on what we learned. Case in point, we had one of those focus group meetings where you're behind a glass wall, they can't see you, you can see the participants, and they're sitting around a table and they're asked a number of questions. And one of the questions that was asked of them, or they said, oh, this agency maintains the creeks. And this woman or man at the time said, well, they don't maintain my creek. And so the facilitator asked, well, what do you mean by that? But he said, look at all the garbage in this creek. Because the light bulb goes off. When we thought of maintenance, we thought of getting the sediment out, the veg removal, to get the flood conveyance capacity. They were thinking about the natural beauty. And so we altered the program somewhat. We increased what we called the Good Neighbor Maintenance Program. That was really, we created at that time to add more money to doing the graffiti removal and the trash pickup. So again, just hearing from the community, consulting like we were there, really added value. And so Mela started her consultation with me on that time, where we were really quite involved in the whole program. And Beth Redmond and others really put their heart and soul into that. And the result really paid off, because it was a time where we had no real idea what was going to be happening. We had some sense, we'd done some polling. And sure, election night, very close election. You may recall in 2000, that was a very close election in the national level. We did not know the new president until about a month after the election. Something happened there with the Supreme Court, you all remember now. We did not know the results of our election until over a month after the vote. And so we won with 66.92% of the vote. We needed 66.67. So less than 1,000 votes. But you think there were several hundred thousand cast. So, in any other election, 66.92 is a landslide, except it's a squeaker in a supermajority, which we had to really achieve. So anyway, that was our consultation phase. Well, then the next phase is involve. And it says here in Mela's own notes, we will work with you. So this is what happened. So I remember minding my own business in 2000. We had gone through a number of reorganizations. And into my office comes Mala Magill. And so Mela comes to me and says, Jim, I want to work with you in your unit. Well, I guess what it was called watershed operations, but yeah. And so I looked at her, I said, go back to work, stop bugging me, You already have a boss. No, Jim, life is changing. And I said, well, I'm willing to do that if your boss is okay with it. So I did talk to Mela's boss, sure enough, so then she came over to the watershed operations program. Because up to now, it's kind of ancient history and probably bores the heck out of all you, but it's meaningful in some respect. Communication had been very interesting here. We had a very small nucleus of a team. I think Mela was probably the second or third public information rep hired. And then we pretty much was a very small group. And then we decided to split it off, an organization, then bring it back. We went through hemorrhaging and we make it diversified. And so this really started at a time where, okay, let's have it done in the operations. So let's have decentralized communication. We still have a nucleus, but we would decentralize it and put it into the organization. So that really started my involvement really closely with Mela. I certainly worked with her, and we became really good partners back on the Clean Safe Creek days. But she became part of my organization. In my business unit, we became where we really formed a much better collaboration. And you think about it, too, at the time, we had done some informing with the community. We had gone out and done some polling. And yet we really still were not getting ourselves a good gauge of how are we really doing in the community. Now, one thing we did in Clean Safe Creeks, which I thought was pretty noble at the time, is we'd always been activity-based. Oh, we maintain channels, we provide flood protection, we do water supply. But we started thinking about outcome-based. What are we accomplishing? And that was very important. And so, how are we measuring our success with the community? And so, we realized, and I think Mela was a great catalyst for this, is we've got to measure not just how we think we're doing it in our own eyes, let's measure how we're doing in the public's eyes. So we started doing our projects, and we continue to do projects in flood control, or the watershed program, but we started to do a program of a couple of things. One is, we would send out notices in advance of doing our work that would take anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks to accomplish. And we would then send a notice to the community saying, we're coming to town, and here's a contact, our field operation rep, whoever it was our field operation supervisor, who to contact if you have any questions about the work. And then when we completed the work, we would send out a card to the community and say, well, how did we do? And I think our crews were a little bit anxious about this, because what's this all about? It might be monitored my performance. We were just trying to gather understanding. So we'd ask questions of the community like, Well, were you aware of the work we had done? Yes or no? How do you think we did? Did our crews behave in a safe manner? And do you think the project was a benefit to the community? And so we had no way of knowing how the results were really going to turn out. And sure enough, we were overwhelmed, I think, by the amount of support we would get. So oftentimes, the board would hear a complaint from a citizen, and they would think that's pretty much speaking on behalf of citizens. But we had 2,000, in the first couple of years, we had a couple thousand survey results that indicate people view our work as good to excellent across the board. So it was great. It was really gratifying. And then when we did see a negative comment, we'd make sure we'd follow up. I remember one very interesting one, maybe you might remember this one, where someone sent us in the mail a cigarette butt. I kid you not, right? And so, because our crews were working on some generator that they left, on the side, and they left cigarette butts, and so they put them in an envelope, sent them to us. And it made us aware of something, that we probably had taken for granted. We think this is our right of way, and we've got to manage and maintain it. But what the community realizes out there is this is their community. And so they want people to respect their community, and I think it really helped inspire us to think a little bit broader beyond our own self-interest, to realize what's the broader interest of the community. And that's what our involvement with Mala and working so forth has really helped to achieve. So it's very exciting. We didn't stop there. I think this is a program that Mala worked with Gary Nagaoka on. And it was very exciting because one of the performance measures we put into our plan was we want to be very responsive to the community. I mean, it's a great noble goal, but it's great to talk about that. You're going to really put your money where your mouth is. Are you going to walk the talk? And fortunately, we found a software from Comcate, we dubbed it Access Valley Water, where we were able then to date and timestamp complaints or concerns that were raised by the public. And it was a way of us to monitor, because our performance measure that we developed back in 2000 was, we want to respond within 5 working days to any comment we receive. Now, we may not solve the problem that the citizen had, but we want to be responsive to that. We may refer them to the proper agency that's really responsible for the issue, or let them know we have higher priorities, we'll get to it when we can get to it. But again, it was really part of the leadership that Mala had, and really assisted in that regard. So, pretty exciting. And she already touched upon, and I think this morning, I think Bo did too, we moved from involve now to collaborate, where we will look to you to direct advice and innovation in formulating solutions. So fast forwarding. So Mala had really perfected her techniques, and I think we really responded quite well in the watershed program. And it was a program right for that. So now we crossed over and we reorganized again somewhere along the way, and I think I left, or I wasn't doing as much of the watershed program then. And so Mala and I sort of tag team and partnered together on this. We realized we also got to do the same for the water utility. Now, why was it important in the water utility? Well, back in 2000 or before, I think and it's still in the record sometimes, I might even have it in my office, one of the boxes in my office, is a survey was done and about how we, a quality survey, or AWWA. And one of the things that it said in that survey was that we take our customers for granted. Kind of interesting. We assume we know what the customer wants, which is really something we learned a lot of in the watershed program. So we brought that back to the water utility. Why was it very important in the water utility? Because in about 2008, I think it was, we lost a lawsuit to Great Oaks Water Company. And in that lawsuit, the claim was that we had not followed Prop 218. And there's a whole procedural requirement for Prop 218, which says that if you're going to have a property-related fee or tax, you need to get basically a supermajority of those who are interested in it to vote in favor of it, much like we did on Clean Safe Creeks. But you also, and the judge ruled in our case, that our groundwater charge, which is really a major portion of our revenue in the water utility, how do you have to go out and get a vote from the public. And so what Mala did for us is, in that early years after that lawsuit, to make sure that we inform the community adequately. And so we sent out notices to all the well owners to inform them of basically a right they have, that if they so disliked our proposed rate increase, that we would allow them to protest, in which they could then file and so forth. And again, Mala led a lot of the text and a lot of the information that provided that. And let me tell you though, looking at other agencies that over the years do the same thing, nobody does it as well as we do. And thanks to Mala in terms of really being really upfront. I looked at Alameda County Water District. They gave you one line at the very bottom of we're raising the rate 7%. And by the way, if you disagree, send this in. We're very upfront. And again, I credit Mala for really being the catalyst and really the team player and making that happening. And the issue of collaboration has really been what Mala's strength has been. And she's collaborated with me on a number of different projects because over the years, what's that?
That's called.
Collaborate, yes, collaborate, that's number 4. We will work. Oh yeah, Mala, I need this. And so Mala, you know, and after a while, having worked so long with me and I with Mala, we pretty much know, we can just look at each other and realize we know what we're talking about without even saying anything. And so we pretty much read each other's mind. And so there was something we realized we really needed in the water utility. We have a great story in the water utility. We have a great story in the watershed program. But in the water utility, we have a great history of how we got to where we are today in terms of our whole infrastructure. And realizing too that we need to rebuild this infrastructure. So Mala collaborated with me on a very exciting program we call Invest in Water. And in which that program to me really encapsulates in about 20 or 40 slides or so the history of water development in Santa Clara County. And I had the good pleasure of giving that presentation to the Rotary Club of San Jose in July, and they were thrilled because very few people understand the history of water and how it's important. And you all, I think, have some inkling because you're working in this field and you know how important it is for our region. And certainly Mala, her catalyst, her ability to effectively communicate face-to-face, in PowerPoint, you name it, really allowed us to really raise our game in that regard. In many respects, I think I was the voice to Mala's creativity. You know, because there was so much work we did and we were so successful, which made it very gratifying for us. And so it is kind of sad to think we go to the last page of empowerment. Now, Mala moved on and she empowered herself by becoming a very important rep in the Employees Association. We will implement what you decide. So, she became so empowered. But really, the real empowerment, that's right, to place that final decision making in the hands of the public. But realistically, the ultimate empowerment is really when you put in a great career here and you feel very satisfied about what you do here. And I hope you all feel that way. I know we go through the biorhythms of time here, but ultimately we hope at the end of the day you feel a great sense of accomplishment in what you do. I know Mala feels a great sense of accomplishment. And I think really the empowerment comes on where you can actually say, I can now pass it on to the next generation, which is what she's doing now. And again, we're going to miss you greatly, Mala, 19 years, but I've had a great time working with you, so thank you.
There we go. Thanks, Tom. So now comes the part where we're going to let everyone at least have an opportunity to really embarrass Mala and have her really utilize that tissue box. So if you'd like to say a few words about her, I wasn't really planning to because I was going to save it, but now I feel like I have to. You talked about... Darn it! You talked about how we inspire you, but I think that's very much the opposite. There's not been a day when you have not been a big supporter of mine, a big cheerleader of mine, and so whether it was helping me on a project, help me decorate my house, I really appreciate everything you've done.
This is my turn. It's great to see so many people here to honor and bid a fond farewell to our dear friend, my dear friend Mala. Even though we all work in different places and have different interests, it is certain that we have one thing in common. Our admiration and respect for a woman who gives 110% and never quits until the job is done right. That woman, of course, is Mala. There I was sitting in the second floor back in 2001, nervous and unsure whether or not I would get a job at the water district. It was probably the opportunity of a lifetime for me. In front of me was Teddy Morris and Mala smiling, and I was excited to be here. Leaving the interview, I knew for a fact that I nailed all those questions. I answered it to the best of my ability. And I knew deep inside that I'd be happy working at a place that would later working for Mala would be later an inspiration and mentor to me and change the way I view public and customer relations. I spent more than half of my career here at the district learning from the very best, Mala, the best at what it takes to keep our customers informed and ensure they stay informed throughout any work we plan or do in your neighborhoods. I'm fortunate and blessed to have worked side by side with Mala when we were just a team of two in 1996 supporting the watersheds, as Jim alluded to. Not only did I learn so much from Mala, but she had the innate ability, I call it the X factor, to foresee issues that could arise from any given communication problems we were facing and come up with a creative solution. Usually this happens when she's blow drying her hair in the morning, showering, shampoo in the shower, or drinking a cup of Starbucks, which she has every morning. Even though I don't have these super power abilities, boy, what a mentor you have been for me, and to have you at my fingertips. To learn and understand the true foundation of good customer relations and strategic engagement, Mala, you can rest assured that after December 30th, is your official retirement date for those who don't know. Your team, Tony, Jessica, and I, and the rest of the customer relations unit and community relations unit, will do our best to keep our templates and display boards consistent, develop strong communication strategies using the art of winning and the spectrum, and also, most of all, give our word to people. Keep them informed, because their actions speak louder than words. We all know Mala. We all know something else about Mala. She doesn't just look around and see things that need attention. She takes action. We all see the same things that Mala sees. There are jobs that need to be done, problems that need to be solved. And as we look at those and think about our busy lives, we most likely say to ourselves, someday we'll take care of that. We mean well, but we just don't get around to doing anything. Mala is the person who does something about it, takes on these issues, and sincerely cares about people. She really does. That's why we're all here. The people in this room is proof of that. I think of Mala as my quarterback in a drive that took us from a good PR team to a fabulous team that many respect today. So Mala, on behalf of everyone here, I'd like to say thanks for being my mentor, a woman dear to my friend, a boss, co-worker, Auntie Mala for my boys. We do pumpkin bowling at our house. A woman of action, not just words. It's never goodbye for us. We'll have our monthly gatherings, but you'll truly be missed by many within these walls for all that you've done here for the Water District and for the lives of people you have touched and developed relationships throughout your 19 years of service. You are a true friend to me. Jeez. I wish you much happiness in your new life, in retirement, happy travels, and I hope to see you at our next community meeting as a friendly stakeholder. Thanks for the memories. Open mic, everyone wants to come up and say a few words.
I gotta go now because I don't think I can listen to anybody else talk. Could I have the EA leadership all join me up here if you wouldn't mind, please? Impactful, that's a great word for you. It's a great word. I'm up here on behalf of the Employees Association and our leadership and our members. But I also want to say that I have had 2 tours of duty working with Mala in my role as a staff person. But it's been my role working with her as sister officers in the union where I really learned from her. It's been the most rewarding time. Mala took on her job as Vice President of Grievance with incredible energy, a commitment, and great professionalism. Under her leadership, over this last year and a half, almost 2 years, we have increased our leadership, more stewards. We're doing things now that we hadn't previously been able to do, getting people excited. Mala can get people excited, you might have noticed. She's a tireless defender. She's a person I have learned from. I know we've talked about this as a group. We've learned from her. I am very frequently in awe of her for a lot of reasons. I consider her a treasured friend. Damn it. We will miss her as a true union leader and also in her role as a very great communicator, and as a person who is an advocate for the district staff here, the district, and its mission. And we love you so much.
Don't start yet. No. That was a gift from our union.
Mala, I won't talk as long or fast as Jim. It's impressive. Yeah. So I want to say a few things about your service as an EA operative. And I'll start by saying how much I admire the way you approached that job. You approached it in a way that I've sought to approach it in the 18 years that I've done union work, in the way that our board under Liz's leadership continues to operate, and that is you not only are an advocate for our members, a strong advocate, a vociferous one, but you look to the business. You don't aim to tear down management. You don't aim to do anything other than make this organization succeed. And I speak from authority as a person who has conducted myself that way in all of my years, particularly as a person who led this agency to the first concession contract we've ever had. For example, I brought Bo 2% of 60. 15% of our medical copay, right? Some of the highest PERS contributions of all our 20 comparators. But the point is, some union people get involved to tear management down and to just put their hand out. And you've represented our Employees Association in a manner that I think is consistent with how I believe a union should be run, and that is protect your employees, but work with management and look to the business. And for that, I look back to the night that you and I talked. We were at Walt and Allie's. We were in the backyard at a party, and we started talking about my union service. And Mala thought, maybe I'll give that a try. And it's safe to say that unlike anyone else that I've ever seen volunteer for this type of work, Mala just stepped in, and she has a knack for it. She really does. So I'm Dad to be proud, huh?
That's right.
So congratulations. Best for a healthy and happy retirement. And it's been a pleasure working with you in the union. So.
I'm just going to keep it very brief because I don't know that there's a lot I can add to what Liz or Greg said, but you know, I'm personally a little bit envious and jealous of everybody in this room because they've gotten to know Mala so well for so many years, and I've really just met Mala in my short time here working with you folks at the district in just 2 years now, and so I've really enjoyed that time. You have been wonderful and amazing, and in the many years that I have done this work, you are truly one of the best and most admirable people, leaders that ever to do this work. And I can't express to everybody enough in this room how much Mala has really fought for you day in and day out, and has been entirely selfless, and how much she cares about this district and the work that they do and in this community. I spent the last 2 years trying to convince her not to retire. I didn't do a very good job of that, but we love you very much and we'll miss you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mala, a little poem. Mala, Mala, Mala dear, what will we do when you're not here? Who will help us? Who will be nice? Show us the way to reach, oh no. Who will we, sorry. Who will we go to for advice? Who will help us? Who will be nice? Show us the way to reach our goals? Who we should talk to? Who else knows? Mala, Mala, it's so clear. We will not miss you just this year. A friend, a colleague, now off you go. So much we'll miss. Yes, it is so. Mala, Mala, Mala dear, what will we do when you're not here? Mala, Mala, we've been told no one so strong, no one so bold can replace you here today. You know, we know it's true, and so we say. Mala, Mala, Mala dear, what will we do when you're not here? Thanks for the years of friendship too. You know each one of us. You do. You learned about our families, our cares, concerns. So if you please, remember us and keep in touch, because we found there's not so much that comes to mind as the friends you've left behind. Mela Mela, it is true. We always will remember you. I'm going to write a book.
Miss Magill. So I could stand up here and talk about the work and about the fact that you've become a mentor for me, but instead I'm going to talk about family. And as you can see by the special guest on my arm, family is a big part of our group. It was your idea that I bring shade today, and that was very sweet. And it's something that I've come to really appreciate about our little unit. And it's that not only do we involve ourselves in each other's lives and support each other, but we've become a family ourselves. And we really care. And it makes a difference. It makes a difference in coming to work every day. It makes a difference in the way that we work together, the way that we support each other. And I thank you for that, because you really are like our mother. And not in a way that you just tell us what to do, and but in a true way, in the sense that you really want us to become the best versions of ourselves. And you do everything you can to foster that. And I really appreciate that. I appreciate that, Mela. So I will miss you. But then I'm going to see you, and I'm going to come have coffee in Gilroy and play with Aaron. And so, we love you.
Hi, Mila. I had not planned to say anything because I just get emotional. But I did want to tell you, so many people have talked about the work, skill sets and stuff like that. But I want to tell you something that I admire in you, which is beyond your work. And, anybody sitting around Mela would know this. And this line really encapsulates it. Hello, my friend. I have always admired Mela's ability to make friends and to keep those friends for the rest of her life. She really invests in relationships, and I've really admired that. And I don't know how she does it. I don't think so there's anybody who has come in contact with Mela and not become her friend. And that's not because of the other person, I can tell you that. It's because of Mela. She cares. She cares about her staff. She cares about her family. She cares about staff's family. She cares about her friends' families. It's just her nature to care. So when we have any issues, personal issues, family issues, we know who to go to. Mela. And another thing that I have really appreciated, admired in her is her personality, which is she has that unique combination of analytical person and creative person. Not many people have it. We tend to say, oh, he's an analytical person like Bo or Jam. And I think that helps. The fact that she has these both personality traits helps her make friends, keep friends, and garner attention. Because you go to her with any issue, with any problem. It is that analytical trait of hers, she will peel the onion. She will go to the core of the issue. She's not trying to address the symptoms. She'll first go to the core of the issue and say, okay, what is at the core? And she will, with her, then creative trait, come up with a creative solution. So she uses analytic to find the problem, what's at the core of it, and then comes up with a creative solution, which garners the attention of both the analytics and the creative personality types. So I really thank you, Mela, and I haven't had very long time working with you, but for a very short time I've really worked with you, but I've known you for a while, for a long time. Actually, from the very first year, Mela was the one who introduced me to the Christmas culture of this country. She took me to Kmart, shopping for Christmas tree, and all the decorations. So I really learned the culture of this country from Mela. Thank you, Mela, so much.
Well, I'm going to keep it short because I agree with everything that's already been said about Mela. She's a wonderful, caring person. I've been in the workforce for going on 50 years now. And if I had to give a Best Boss of My Career award, it would go to Mela. She sees the big picture, she gets to the issue, she's caring, both professional and personally, helped me through a lot of issues with my daughter. So, thank you.
Okay, yeah. Like, where's the customer relations team? Like to have them up here, communications group as Meenakshi, Jessica, Kate, Kathy. Anyone else? Kathy and Teresa. Shay. Marty. Marta. Carter. Just there. Just show our gratitude and small token of appreciation. Where are you? Oh, okay. Just there. I mean, this. Yeah. Wow, Shay, huh? Wow. So thank you for coming, and we have coffee, cake outside for you to enjoy. Again, thank you for coming. You want some Mela?
Look, I sent all the video. Everybody just go have cake. Just thank you all for really all our time spent together.
Really coming around.
No, I want to talk as loud as I want to talk. Thank you all really for, all time spent together for the last almost 20 years. And, this is an agency of the smartest, funnest, committed people that, anybody can ever hope to spend a career working with. So thank you all for everything that you said today. I just am so full of emotion and gratitude. So please, chocolate is necessary and it is.
Mela, super quickly, I'm so sorry. Mela knows that I had a meeting in Oakland and she didn't want me to race back, but I did slightly. Anyway, I just want to, I made comments this morning at the MLT, so I won't take long. I just want to say, Mela has left such an incredible footprint on this organization. People don't even realize that so many of the projects we've worked on for the past 20 years have had her hands in the behind the scenes, solving problems, creating systems, and really developing a customer relations program that is to be envied by other agencies. We have an amazing organization, and she's invested and passed all that along to her staff because she loves this organization so much. She loves the people that work here so much. She's been an incredible partner to me, and I really appreciate that, and we'll miss you greatly. So that's party tonight.